Hello everyone. But
Hello.
first of all, Eve, you made a history, darling, because you achieved this one first attempt.
Thank you.
Congratulations. How was it?
It was okay. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
As we were in one of the worst test centers in the country,
Oh, yeah.
and you checked the pass rates. And
Yeah,
you
it was
said,
about
that's
a third.
horrible. And I told you we're going to increase the pass rate
Yeah,
rather
we
than
did.
doing it. So
We did it.
absolutely well done. How did you choose your instructor?
Well, I started by just looking at local instructors on Google Maps and comparing everyone that was in my area. And the biggest thing I did was just read reviews. So your reviews were amazing, 5 stars, thousands of reviews. I also think the number of reviews is important. So yeah, looking for lots of really good reviews was the key.
So we started from zero basically, because I remember you couldn't even move
I had
the
not
car.
done anything.
How was the journey? What do you think, if there was any key moment to achieve this brilliant achievement, because it's not easy to pass first attempt?
I think the mock tests were a key moment. I think I was improving in like leaps and bounds since the mock test. I think that was the biggest improvement in a short space of time, because you could really see what you're doing wrong, really see what you needed to do to reach the test standard. But I think another key thing was just building that confidence at the beginning, because if you'd taken me on really complicated roads with complicated situations, I would have been overwhelmed. So we built up at
Step
a
by
reasonable
step.
speed, not too slow, but enough to build the confidence in proportion to the skills.
And also I think it was very important when we done the first mock test, was like for everybody it's
Horrible.
Exactly.
Absolutely
Yes.
awful.
Then we did the second one, but after a few minutes I have to
you
stop
stopped
you at the
me.
second one.
That was really good, because in the moment it wasn't good. Like, I won't
Yes,
lie.
you
In the
felt
moment
bad.
I was like, oh my god, I've ruined it. But actually it was a really good moment to sort of realize that just like being calm is half the battle. And if you make a small mistake, don't overthink it, don't keep thinking about it, just move on. Because I made a mistake in the beginning and I was just overthinking it. I was driving horribly.
Driving us,
And
so
if
did
you'd
on the
let me
first,
continue driving,
we would
I
have the
would have
same bad
wasted.
reason.
Yeah, I would have wasted like
your
40
time
minutes.
and money as
Yeah.
well. And that's why I said, let's stop and then talk through, compose yourself and start again.
Yeah.
Because then you started to drive in a different tone, in a different
Yeah,
way.
it was completely different. In the moment I wanted to scream, but afterwards
Of course, we had those moments when you thought,
I was
okay,
like, oh my
he is
god,
horrible,
I
he is
actually
just
wanted-
torturing
no.
me.
But it was actually so much better, because at the end I got a better result, which was so much more motivating than if I'd just gotten the same result again at the end. So
And
yeah,
then
the
we did
second one was
quite a good number of mock tests, and
We
then
did
we
a lot,
compared them, and then we were working on those things which we see in the mock test we need to have a little bit of improving.
Yeah.
Not because you couldn't do that, because under the
No,
pressure or
yeah.
when you're driving on your own, basically, you don't have clues.
Yeah,
Nobody-
everything that I got wrong as well was like the basics that we learned at the beginning. I think it's just pulling everything together, like getting the whole picture, because I was forgetting things like checking my mirrors, or I was turning left incorrectly, like really wide, you know, and those aren't the difficult things, they're the basic things, but they can
It's
be the
easy to
easiest
make
to
the
mess up on the
mistakes, yes,
test.
because we think that's easy, so we don't need to even concentrate on it. Then you had a couple of drive with your mum,
Yeah.
and then you explain me the experiences, and then we see the influence as well. So I think it's important if you explain the others, if they're practicing with parents or
Yeah,
friends,
I
family
think-
members.
Practicing with parents and family members can be really valuable. It's a really valuable extra experience, you know, and you get to see how an experienced driver would do it and their comments and everything. But their comments are both helpful and potentially damaging, because you're also in danger of picking up their bad habits. Like, they might have, you know, they might not steer correctly. You know, my mum doesn't like going through lights. So like, if, you know, when it goes amber and you're too close and you should go through, because you would stop super harshly. It might be partially because she doesn't have a brake. That is another difference between, you know,
When you're practicing
between
with
family
somebody,
members and you know,
Instructor,
an
yes.
instructor, because the instructor has the brake, so that's a lot safer and better. But yeah, we would stop really, really harshly, and I developed that as a bad habit,
Yes,
and I
and
did
then
it
we realised
even
it.
even the lesson
Yes,
before the test.
and
I did it.
exactly.
I will say, especially one good thing that I did, the final lesson I had before the test was with you. I did think about doing it, but I wouldn't probably practice with a family member right before the test. I think having a really good lesson where you were
Clear
happy
mindset.
with my drive, everything was clear, everything was good, and I'd driven this car was really helpful. I probably would have gotten extra confused if I'd had, you know, family members'
Yes.
comments and a different car and everything.
I said to you, if you're not passing, nobody will pass today. How was the test? I will come back to this mom and Amber line. So how was the driving test?
The test was good. I mean, I wasn't as stressed out as I thought because we kind of developed the strategy of like, just imagine you're on a driving lesson. Don't do anything differently. It's like you said in your 5 killers of the driving test video. Like, because that's one of the big things I did wrong on my mock test was, you know, I was driving completely differently. So this one, I went into it with the mindset of like, I'm just going to pretend I'm on a driving lesson and I'm not going to like overly panic. You know, I'm not going to overthink things. Just take each thing as it comes. And that really helped. So it wasn't as stressful as I had thought it was potentially going to be. So yeah, I would say like it was good.
Yes.
Nice examiner. He was
a
nice.
lovely guy, not just handsome. It was a lovely guy. I was sitting behind you. What I realized, which I always telling you, if you start the test on a good note, the examiner will sit down and relax. So I was sitting there. After 2-3 minutes, the examiner relaxed their shoulder and sit back and looking around.
I noticed that
because
as well.
you put him
He
at ease.
in the first, like when we were pulling out of the test center and everything, he's looking like he was,
Yes.
you know, checking with me. Even the first few roads, he was like really alert, like you know, whatever. And if you give them, it's the first 3 to 5 minutes maybe.
It's the hardest, but the most
it's the
important.
hardest because you're the most nervous because you haven't had a chance to relax. You're you know, you've just met this new person who's judging you and everything. You know, it's the hardest point to be calm, but it's the most important point to be calm because it's like, if you can convince them I'm a competent driver, I'm confident, I can deal with all these situations, they will relax and then they're less likely to notice anything small. And I think the overall key is not focusing on these tiny little errors that you might have, like just try and be confident, try and be, you know, try and do your best.
And also was one key moment which we practiced during the lessons and during the mock test as well. You were telling the examiner what you're thinking, how you're thinking of the situation and why you're responding on that way.
If I was doing anything that I thought could be construed in 2 different ways. So like if, you know, say you're kind of creeping out to have a look in a road to make sure it's safe. They could think you're just going to go when it's not safe, you know. So if you are going to do something and you're not sure how they're going to interpret it, like describe it so that they know that you're interpreting it in the correct way.
Absolutely. And there was one situation, so back to your mom's amber light.
Yeah.
When we were approaching to amber light and we were very close, and then you said out loudly, I'm not going to stop now because
it'll be
it's
too harsh.
too close.
Yeah.
And I think that was very important. You said out loudly because during the last mock test, we had this issue because you said, oh, my mom always shouted at me when I was going through on the amber line.
We had it once and I thought I should go through, she thought I should stop. And I think part of it again might be the brake. You know, she doesn't have the brake that you have, so she can't you know, stop me if it was incorrect. But we stopped so abruptly that the person behind nearly
crashing,
hit us. So
that's why that's why we have the amber line between red and green.
And the amber light is like, it's leeway, it's like, you know, it's prepared to stop basically.
Yeah, so if you can stop safely, you stop.
But I still think it was important to say it out loud in that instance because it was borderline.
Exactly.
I could have probably stopped, especially if I'd been going a little bit
sharp.
It would have been a bit sharp, but I think if I had been going maybe even a couple miles an hour slower, or, you know, been a little bit further back when it changed, it would have been very borderline. And so I did feel like he needed to know that I'd seen it and that I was addressing it.
You put him in a picture.
That, you know, because they can't read your mind ultimately. Like they, you know, you need to sort of convey what you're thinking.
You deserved it. You worked very hard. You never cancelled your lesson. You've never been late. So absolutely, you deserved it. Will you have any advice for the next candidate if they're going for a test or choosing the instructor?
Well, I think we've spoken a little bit about the instructor, but as you say, like, make sure you're comfortable with them because ideally you're working with the same person for this entire journey and you should be comfortable with them. Make sure that they are, you know, correcting your mistakes, but not horrible, you know, that you click. Yeah, exactly. Just believe that you'll get there, basically. And then as far as the test is concerned, I mean, don't read the reviews. I did that wrong.
You mean the driving test centers?
I was like, I mean, I won't name any names on this video, but I was like, you know, if I get person A or person B, it's over for me, you know. Which we didn't get that person, but yeah, don't read the reviews and don't overly fixate on the pass rate. I don't think I realized that fully until after this.
Yes.
But I was like, I remember I came to every lesson basically telling you like, it's like 30%, 34, like, oh my god, I need to change it, blah, blah, blah. And you always kept saying like, it doesn't really matter, they're just roads, like it's most important about us and your pass rate and, you know, whether we can do it. And it was fine. So
And you had a little bit extra pressure because your theory is just about expiring.
my theory expires on the 13th of September, my mum's birthday.
And now we are on the 4th, so we wouldn't
yeah,
have
we would
even
not
chance
have,
to have the second
definitely
one.
Not with the 15-week waiting times, we wouldn't.
So we had to make sure.
We had to make it work, and yeah, I mean, that is extra pressure. Ideally, don't put extra pressure on yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, be aware of the 15-week waiting time. Try and leave space.
Some space, exactly.
But if you do, I mean, look, worst case scenario, you have to retake the theory. It's
Yes,
not
but as I
that
said to you,
bad.
that's we're not talking about now
No.
because we preparing to pass.
Yeah.
And there was also one moment which you mentioned it today. For you was very important. I explained to you why asking you to do certain things rather than just asking
That's
to do
true.
it.
Even on the way to the test, we were just brushing up things. You know, we were prepared, but there's
little bit, yes.
there's nothing wrong with just
Exactly.
polishing and whatever. So and yeah, you explain why, because just telling someone a rule is not as good as telling them why it exists. Because if you're like, what the example we had was stay 1 meter to 1.5 meters away from parked cars if you're driving next to parked cars. And if I didn't understand why, I'd be like, oh, who cares? I'm definitely not going to hit it. I could be 30 centimeters away and be confident that I'm not going to hit it. But the reason that rule exists is because someone might open the door or jump out. You don't know. And so yeah, it's important to understand why that exists.
And
because,
it's easier
to
remember.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to remember.
Young lady, congratulations one more time. You absolutely
Thank
very well
you.
deserve it. I'm going to miss you badly.
I'll miss you too.
Your slot's already been sold because I know you're going
He's
to
so
be passed.
confident.
Yes, of course. So we wish you all the best of luck on the next driving test. Okay, so if you go for the, enjoy it and then you can get it done. Thank you one more time. Bye
Thank
everyone.
you.